Close. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. YouTube just showed something new on the screen, so I had to read that to see what that's all about. So come on in, like the video. As you guys come in, thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21, where we talk hot topics, trending topics. I was kind of on vacation. I didn't go live probably since Friday. So yeah, to get back in the algorithm's not going to be easy, but like the videos you guys come in. Thanks for tuning in here. And please hit the subscribe button as you guys come in and subscribe and hit the like button. So thanks for being here. I appreciate everyone for being here. But definitely like the video as you guys come in by supporting the channel. And to like the button and to hit the like button is free. It's going to take me a minute to get back into how I generally speak on here. So let me do my disclaimer. All comments are allegedly copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Like the videos you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Let me go ahead and get my disclaimer up. Please like the video. Okay, so just give me a second and we're going to get to these clips. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I did. I enjoyed my vacation. I really did. Thanks for watching. Okay, so like the video. Let me go ahead and pin that. But yeah, let's listen to what Trump had to say to this reporter.
Disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready?
Thank you, Mr. President. Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say
That's
now?
a terrible question. The phraseology. I didn't lie. Nobody thought it was. Wait a minute. And your question, the way you phrase that is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready?
Thank you, Mr. President. Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say
That's
now?
a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. Nobody thought it was. Wait a minute. And your question, the way you phrase that is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready?
Thank you, Mr. President. Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say
That's
now?
a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. Nobody thought it was. Wait a minute. And your question, the way you phrase that is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready?
Thank you, Mr. President. Why did you...
So let's continue with the news. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate everyone for being here. We're also going to talk about this clip.
Man, this chair is the most uncomfortable chair I've ever. First of all, it spins. And the one thing I don't want is to fall on my ass, because that will be the only story. They'll say, sir, you did great. Too bad you fell. That would be the only story. So I'm not sitting in that sucker. I think it's a booby trap. That was put there by Kamala. I think I'm going to stand. This chair is the most uncomfortable chair I've ever. First of all, it spins. And the one thing I don't want is to fall on my ass, because that will be the only story. They'll say, sir, you did great. Too bad you fell. That would be the only story. So I'm not sitting in that sucker. I think it's a booby trap. That was put there by Kamala. I think I'm going to stand. This chair is the most
Anything that has to do with anybody is either Biden, Kamala, or other people's fault. You don't want to sit in that chair because you don't think it's going to hold, buddy. Okay, so let's get to more hot topics, trending topics. Thanks for being here, everyone. I didn't want to play this one because I don't know if that's him actually speaking. Certain stuff you got to be careful because of AI. This is Dion and Shedeur.
I know. He's going to locker room.
So it's basically saying, oh, Shedeur Sanders, loving moment. after his first NFL win.
I know, he's going to locker room. Be back, everybody, please.
So it's funny. Have y'all ever watched The Draft, the old movie? How everybody wanted to be on the Browns in the movie? Go check that out. It's very interesting in regards to the movie The Draft. Very interesting. A lot of those players in the movie wanted to be on the Browns. And look at how Shedeur went through so much. He went through so much. Having the number 2, then it got to 12. They changed the number to 12, and then the NFL was called out because remember he dropped really low in regards to being picked in the NFL draft. And me and my friends and a lot of people watched for hours and hours trying to figure out what was going on and when Shedeur would actually be drafted. So that was a very interesting day. Hours, many even women, myself, hours trying to figure out why the heck this young man dropped so low. But the thing is, he's saying he's not going to lose his focus. Just this month, his house is actually broken into, and I did do a short on that. So go check that short out. And he has said people want him to lose focus, and he's not going to lose focus. So I like Shedeur Sanders. It's sad what happened with his brother in regards to him being on the field and he had that altercation. I feel that a lot of people want them to lose focus. And he basically said he's not going to lose focus. So there's the situation in regards to Shedeur. So well wishes on him and his NFL career. It's sad of what they're doing to those boys. Okay, we're going to get into some more hot topics, trending topics. Giselle says Robin didn't show up because she still hurt over the exit of the housewife stuff is really messy. Bravo loves for these women to go through either marital problems with the law, whatever. They have a podcast. If you like them, go check it out. Okay, so we just played that. Okay, let's listen to this TSA situation.
Federal essential workers, TSA agents, air traffic controllers that worked without pay for so long. You talk to some of these TSA officers, what are they saying about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm told many of them thought their paycheck, including the 43 days of back pay, would have hit their bank accounts by now, but it hasn't happened.
The record-long government shutdown ending just in time for the busiest travel period of the year. But as Phoenix Sky Harbor braces for the holiday rush, for many of the TSA officers tasked with screening those passengers, it feels like the shutdown never stopped.
Good morning.
I know. I should have gotten a paycheck today. I have not.
Jovan Petkovic is a TSA officer and local union representative. He says he and many of his colleagues still have not received a paycheck, including the 43 days of back pay. And each day that passes by without one makes a difference.
It's definitely detrimental if you don't receive your paycheck. There's individuals that actually do live paycheck to paycheck. That's a reality.
And it's a reality for Martina Santana, who we first introduced you to during the shutdown. A single mom who had to take money out of her federal retirement plan after receiving an eviction notice in October. Then was hit with another 5-day notice to pay rent at the start of November. She tells 12 News she also has yet to receive a paycheck.
There's a lot of frustration.
Petkovic said they were provided with this guidance, stating although the government reopened November 13th, payouts were expected to start on Thursday, November 20th, concluding Monday, November 24th. He says some were paid Thursday and Friday, while others have received nothing.
The general public thinks like, hey, the government reopened and like, oh, you guys got paid. This is not reality. The reality of it is you had over 40,000 employees within TSA alone. Somebody's got to process that pay.
And Bianca, you've got to feel for these federal essential workers.
That's crazy that some of those people haven't been paid yet.
Pay for so long. You talk to some of these TSA officers, what are they saying about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm told many of them thought their paycheck, including the 43 days of back pay, would have hit their bank accounts by now, but it hasn't happened.
The record-long government shutdown ending just in time for the busiest travel period of the year. But as Phoenix Sky Harbor braces for the holiday rush, for many of the TSA officers tasked with screening those passengers, it feels like the shutdown never stopped.
I know. I should have gotten a paycheck today. I have not.
Jovan Petkovic is a TSA officer and local union representative. He says he and many of his colleagues still have not received a paycheck, including the 43 days of back pay. And each day that passes by without one makes a difference.
It's definitely detrimental if you don't receive your paycheck. There's individuals that actually do live paycheck to paycheck. That's a reality.
And it's a reality for Martina Santana, who we first introduced you to during the shutdown. A single mom who had to take money out of her federal retirement plan after receiving an eviction notice in October. Then was hit with another 5-day notice to pay rent at the start of November. She tells 12 News she also has yet to receive a paycheck.
There's a lot of frustration.
Petkovic says they were provided with this guidance, stating although the government reopened November 13th, payouts were expected to start on Thursday, November 20th, concluding Monday, November 24th. He says some were paid Thursday and Friday, while others have received nothing.
The general public thinks like, hey, the government reopened and like, oh, you guys got paid. This is not reality. The reality of it is you got over 40,000 employees within TSA alone. Somebody's got to process that pay.
So you would think that that would go through his HR department. Wherever he works, the HR department would have to put that time in and repay them. I mean, anytime you work, anytime you miss off, his HR department has to put those hours in. So are some workers assuming that they're just going to put them in and not sit down with them? I would have sat down with them as soon as I got back. Make sure I get my pay. This is the other thing, you guys, real talk. If you are able to, pay your rent 1 month ahead. So you're always 1 month ahead of paying your rent. Even if you can pay 2 months ahead, do that. So you'll never have a situation of housing. And we talked about this too, not financial advice, but if you're able to save 3 months to 6 months of savings, do that. There's no way these TSA workers should still be struggling. That's the HR problem, that he has to go sit down with that person to say, I need my money. They need to sit down with the HR. But anyway, let's continue with the news. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like we talked about before, Kim blamed ChatGPT for failing her exam. She still wants to trend about not being and not passing the bar exam. She recently sat down with Courtney. Kim likes people to listen to her and all her woes. Ever notice that she is self-absorbed in herself? And you know what? Courtney did it best. Kim was sitting there talking about her health concerns. Courtney starts thinking about food. And Kim says, Courtney, I'm sitting here talking to you about my problems, and you're sitting here talking about food. And Courtney blamed it on being like a mom. Kim is so self-absorbed, she wants everybody to listen to her. She does. You could tell. And then when Courtney didn't listen and wasn't really paying attention, Courtney got on that camera and said, I have mom brain. I'm not focused on nothing but my child, myself, and my family. Kim wants people to absorb what she got going on. Remember, last month she blamed Kanye for her health issues. And I told y'all, it's because of her busy schedule. She'd rather blame a black man. I'm going to say it. I don't care. Y'all can tell what culture I am. She'd rather blame a black man for her issues than her own busy schedule. I don't like it. She blamed ChatGPT. Then she blamed the psychic, that the psychic lied to her. Girl, go study. So then she had to show us that she was studying. Then she was on camera crying. Who tapes themselves crying? What? Kim loves to trend and go viral. She loves to trend and go viral. She loves it. I don't even know what she's trying to trend on, but she's getting a lot of backlash in regards to North. Now you're going to slowly but surely see her start showing the other kids, because she's getting so much backlash regards to North. And if you really pay attention, either she's dressing North in oversized clothes, men's clothes, or over too adult-like clothes. And people keep saying, is she okay? Yeah, is she okay? Those Kardashians are something else. And then I told y'all last month, those unhealthy relationships are oozing out of their pores. So what does Chris do? Go do a podcast saying, oh, we love the baby daddies. Oh, we love the baby daddies. There's nothing we could do. You know, they're living their lives. Look at Kanye, concerning. Look at Lamar Odom, concerning. Lamar Odom came on that show with Chloe. She gave him something back. Now Chloe's still talking about Lamar on her podcast, talking about how he got rid of her journals. There's certain words I can't say. How he got rid of her journals. Girl, stop talking about Lamar. Chloe can't stop talking about Lamar, but she don't put Tristan in situations like that. Have y'all noticed that? Chloe don't talk about Lamar like she talk about Tristan. She wants everybody to love Tristan. That man cheated how many times on Chloe? It didn't matter how many times she changed her face, how many times she changed her look, how big her behind was. Chloe got cheated on allegedly by Tristan so many times, and she decided, and children are a blessing, she decided to have another child by that man. She did, and Kim had 4. Children are a blessing. But the baby daddies are a hot mess. Kanye concerning, Tristan concerning, Scott Disick concerning, Travis Scott, oh my goodness, so concerning. Yeah. Well wishes though. Chris put those girls in situations and those girls are expected to date. Chris can be in a whole relationship for years. Chris can be in a whole relationship for years. Have y'all noticed in regards to Chris being more in the media this year? She didn't used to be in the media that much. Now, as Kim is doing other ventures, Chris had to step up. They're mad at Courtney because Courtney don't want to work like them. They're mad. And think about it. The only girl of the Kardashians that's married. And you will see that there's a lot of stories planted about Courtney. You would think that if Kim was married, Kim would want that marriage celebrated. But in regards to Courtney, they love bringing drama to Courtney and her marriage. Look at the stories that's planted. Look at how Chloe talk about Courtney. Look at how Kim talk about Courtney. They don't want Courtney to be the married one, the happy one. They like bringing drama to Courtney. They do. Look at the stories that's planted. Them girls are something else. And Chris loves it. Chris loves that they got problematic baby daddies. Chris loves that because it's a constant storyline. It's a constant storyline. And when Kanye do something that trends and goes viral and the Kardashians don't like it, they will do whatever they can to overtrend Kanye. Go back. This is the other thing, and I've been meaning to do the video. Go back and look at what Bianca was wearing this year, last year. Did Kim allege copy some of that stuff and do a brand deal? Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, so it's basically being reported that Beyonce and Jay-Z was outside for the weekend. These are the different outfits she wore. They're still together, even though people are saying they're not. They're still together. So this is the outfit from the weekend. What do y'all think about Beyonce wearing and what she's wearing? And you better believe some of these celebrities are going to try and do that same outfit. Watch. All right, this is B getting into the vehicle. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce being outside. They've been trending a lot too. I kind of like the curly look on her. I do. You know, that's her natural hair. She has beautiful hair. So yeah, that's B. Having a good old time with Jay. They've been hanging in there together. So it's more, she's doing more of a natural look with her hair. There's like 20 pages. We'll go through all of them. Yeah, she's doing more of the natural curly hair look on, because normally she wears straight. But I like the curly look. What do y'all think about J and B hanging out for the weekend? Okay, that's the last picture. Yeah, J and B was out hanging out over the weekend. Like the videos, y'all come in. Like the videos, y'all come in. There's about 100. There's about 71 in the building. Not 100. There's about 71 in the building. So I almost did a short regarding this, but I said I'll just do it live. Like the videos, y'all come in. So they attended the F1 Vegas Grand Prix. Okay, so there's that. I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to show that. Mia Thornton, if y'all didn't see, she was arrested. Some of these housewives have issues with the law. Real talk. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. Like the video as y'all come in. Okay, so let's go and get back into some news in regards to what's going on in regards to the news. Like the video as y'all come in. Like the video. If y'all just not coming in, I'll play this.
And the one thing I don't want is to fall on my ass, because that will be the only story. They'll say, sir, you did great. Too bad you fell. That would be the only story. So I'm not sitting in that sucker. I think it's a booby trap. That was put there by Kamala. I think I'm going to stand. This chair is the most uncomfortable chair I've ever. First of all, it spins. And the one thing I don't want is to fall on my ass, because that will be the only story. They'll say, sir, you did great. Too bad you fell. That would be the only story. So I'm not sitting in that sucker. I think it's a booby trap. That was put there by Kamala.
He loves blaming Kamala. He loves blaming Barack. Let's continue with the news.
What can you tell us about the talks with the European Union, Secretary? What are you expecting?
So what we've been talking about, we started about digital. You know, the idea is that the European Union...
We're about into some hot topics, trending topics in regards to some of the world news. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Continues to make rules that only harm our big tech companies. And they're just not getting the investment that we're getting. You know, we have company after company after company announcing $500 billion of investments in America. And here, they're getting $10 billion. So the idea is, come on, guys, embrace the ideas and the model of the Trump administration, and you'll get $1 trillion in investment here. So we're trying to teach them and encourage them to follow the Trump lead and learn how to embrace the digital markets and the AI world. So we're trying, and I'm here marketing and teaching and trying to help our tech companies.
So it's interesting. I love the way that you and President Trump fight for American companies, and these digital services taxes have been a real issue for American companies. Do you feel that you're actually making a difference, that you are going to see all of those extra fees and taxes go away?
Well, the idea is if they don't make them go away, they're not going to get the investments from these tech companies. I mean, these tech companies have the ability to change the economy of Europe. They could invest $1 trillion here. But, you know, if the market, you know, the regulatory environment, the tax environment is not conducive to these companies, they're going to invest small potatoes here. And that's what they're seeing. So I'm here saying, come on, rethink your regulatory environment, embrace our great companies, and they will help your economy grow. So that's the newest part of this conversation, is change your tax model and let these companies invest here. I think it'll be fantastic for Europe. It'll be fantastic for our American tech companies, but it's worth a try, and that's why I'm here.
Well, that would be a big deal if you could actually get that movement. I don't know if you remember the Mario Draghi research that the former head of the ECB came out with, and he basically compared, you know, why it is that the U.S. has several companies that are $1 trillion or more. We've got at least one company that's close to $5 trillion in NVIDIA, and yet the amount of companies in Europe that have been able to gain market value, the highest market value is Novo Nordisk, which is about $350 billion. So why can't they generate $1 trillion company the way America can? Is it regulation?
It's just regulation. It's just they think that you can regulate success, which you cannot. The idea is to create the environment where companies thrive and build and grow. And what they just said to me this morning is, look, we're trying to build our small companies. That's why we're regulating your big companies. And the key is no one's going to build a big company here, because it just gets regulated the heck out of it. I mean, we are trying to convince them to do the right thing. Another example, right? They rule out diesel gas, and you got to have batteries here by 2035. But Europe doesn't make batteries. Only certain countries make batteries, and Europe is not one of them. They've got to think better about themselves. They got to take care of themselves. And we're here trying to help them understand it. It'll be good for American manufacturers, good for European car manufacturers. But come on, they don't make batteries here. The leader in batteries is in China. Why would Europe make a rule that they've got to use batteries that they don't make? Just doesn't make sense. So come on, think correctly. That's why we're here.
All really good points, Secretary. Do you expect anything changes from the deal that President Trump struck back in the summertime with the Europeans? Are that's going to change in any way as a result of your trip?
I think we're here to enhance it. We're offering them, we can extend and grow the deal and make it better and help Europe on all the areas that they're interested in. You know, they're interested in expanding in steel, and we want the help in digital. We want the help in diesel. We want help back and forth. So I think this trade deal, which was a fantastic trade deal, can grow and change and breathe. And that's why we're here. We're giving them offers of how we can take care of them, but they've got to take care of us. These kind of trade deals breathe. And what you do is you send over your trade team to make it bigger, to make it better, and to make it stronger for us both. And that's why we're here talking about it. Me and Ambassador Greer are here, and we're talking through all the issues to make this deal ever bigger and ever stronger on the back of the amazing deal that Donald Trump set in July in Scotland.
Secretary, any changes that we should expect with regard to China? Because you and your colleagues have been working hard to ensure that the free flow of rare earth minerals happens from China to the whole world, by the way, not just the United States. But we've got indications that they are pushing back again and withholding rare earth minerals from companies in the U.S. that are tied to the U.S. military. Do you have an update there?
This viral shower head boosts water pressure and cuts your water bill.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
Companies are furious. She created a device.
Well, I think the relationship between President Trump and President Xi is at the heart of this. I think these kind of things will work their way through. I think our trade team is going to work their way through. But really, it all is upon the fact that President Trump and President Xi have a good working relationship. They've decided to work these things out, and I think we're relying on that relationship is going to pound through and make sure things are balanced and reasonable between our two countries. But let's see how that goes. But I think the president's got it well in hand.
All right. Meanwhile, the president has been luring all this money into America, meeting with Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House last week, and the commitment to invest $1 trillion into America, whether it be technology, energy, defense infrastructure. The White House now approving the sale of NVIDIA's advanced AI chips to Saudi Arabia's Humane company and the United Arab Emirates G42 tech firm. Secretary, you and I were both at the investment summit on Wednesday. Tell me about that partnership. And do you worry that sending these very advanced chips to the Saudis will ultimately make its way to China, or do you expect we will be sending those chips to China as well?
No, so the idea, these are our best chips. And what we've decided to do is for chips of 35,000 chips or less, we will let a national champion tech company, that's G42 in the UAE and Humane in Saudi Arabia, that they can manage those chips, but those chips must stay in Saudi Arabia, stay in the UAE, must be overseen and must be audited so they're there to take care of their domestic use. And then anything above 35,000 chips has to be run by the U.S. hyperscalers and U.S. cloud providers. And that's the model for both Saudi and for the UAE. And I think we're very comfortable with that. And we are considering that kind of model for the rest of the world. So I think we're going through that process. I think you're going to see a model published. Our AI action plan will come out. It's going through all of the different departments. So right now, in the U.S. government sort of commenting on it, but you should expect that policy to come out before the end of the year. But we are comfortable with Humane. We are comfortable with G42. And above that, above 35,000 chips, U.S. hyperscalers, people we know and we can be confident will not let these chips fall into the wrong hands.
Well, I guess what I'm really getting at is China, because I know there's a massive race to win the AI race. And then, of course, we've got this soft war underway with regard to trade with the Chinese Communist Party. Do you think that there's going to be any movement in terms of President Trump allowing those chips to get to China?
Well, the best part about America is we have Donald Trump in the Oval Office. He's listening to everybody. He's going to think about it. He listens to Jensen from NVIDIA, but he listens to all sorts of other executives, and they all bring these opinions together, and Donald Trump's going to decide what chips, if any, we sell to China. That's on the president's desk. He's going to decide how he wants to take care of it, and that's the benefit of having Donald Trump be the president of the United States, is he's making that decision with advice from everybody, And that's the best part about being in America. You got the best president, the best deal maker. He understands how he wants to play it, and we'll leave it in his hands.
So we'll wait for any new developments there. The president is also working on this potential proposal to send out checks of $2,000, dividend checks. And, you know, there's an analyst I spoke with over the weekend who believes that it's unlikely unless we see a second reconciliation package passed in 2026. What's your expectation, Secretary, in terms of a second reconciliation bill or a standalone $2,000 check program to go out?
Look, the tariffs are an American policy. The president wants the American people to understand how great tariffs are for them. And so one of the ways to prove to the American people how great tariffs are is to have them share in a part of 1 year's income from these tariffs. And that's $2,000 a head, as he said, for people who need the money. You know, he's going to constrain it to people who need the money. And that's exciting. So the president's got that on his desk. I know that's something he wants to achieve. And his legislative team will figure out the best way to do it. But what he's trying to do is make sure people in America understand that tariffs are their policy. It's to make America stronger. And it can also benefit their pocketbook. And that is coming next year from the president.
Yeah, for sure. But the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says that those payments will cost roughly $600 billion each round and increase the deficit by $6 trillion over a decade. The White House preparing, of course, backup plans in case the Supreme Court rules against the president and the emergency powers on tariffs. I want to ask you about those backup plans. So let's take a short break and come right back on the cost of the president's tariff dividends and whether or not, in fact, we are going to see this take place next year. Secretary, I just got to get your take on whether or not there is a backup plan in place if the Supreme Court goes against you. Stay with us, Secretary. We've got more right after the break.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Let's continue.
Ironclad grip on his party. This week showed some real cracks and raising some larger questions for the president as Republicans begin to worry about their own political fortunes, not his. The GOP revolt demanding the release of the Epstein files and effectively backing the president into a corner was the most dramatic example of that. Yet his ability to strike fear into wobbly Republicans is still stronger than ever. His zero tolerance for any dissent set the stage for the stunning and abrupt resignation of his one-time MAGA loyalist, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But how long will most Republicans continue to toe the line, given that Trump is facing some of the worst poll numbers of his time in office? Yet overnight, Trump continued to press a feud with Democrats that left many in his party uncomfortable, as he renews demands for 6 Democrats to be jailed for urging members of the military to disobey unlawful orders. Let's break this all down with my excellent panel this morning. Anna Palmer of Punchbowl News, CNN's David Chalianin, Sungmin Kim of the Associated Press. Good morning to you all. David Chalianin, I'll start with you to set the stage of where we are in Trump's presidency right now, because we are seeing numbers that are not good for the president, that have been very bad, which we'll get into in a second here. We saw what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, her abrupt resignation. We saw what happened with the Epstein files and these fractures within the party. Is this a natural place where a president would be at this point in his presidency, in his second term? A larger and more worrying sign for the White House?
Well, I think both things can be true. I do think it could be, it is a natural point for somebody serving a second term. Remember, you start serving your second term as soon as you put your hand on the Bible on Inauguration Day, you are technically a lame duck, right? The Constitution says so. Now, I don't want to take away, Donald Trump, as we all know and have covered for a decade, like there is no politician who has as strong a connection with his big core base of support as Donald Trump does with his. We just haven't come like that. And I'm not sure that is irreparably broken in this moment, but I do think for somebody who is defied political reality time and again, it does catch up with you. And by the way, Donald Trump himself diagnosed this just 3 weeks ago when the Democrats had those sweeping victories in the elections. What did he say the next morning? He said, I think one of the biggest problems is I wasn't on the ballot. Yeah. And that is going to be true. And I think his party, certainly the Epstein situation was a catalyst for this, and those election results have started having a conversation now about, he's not going to be on the ballot again. So what does this Republican coalition look like post-Trump?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And the question is, how does the White House deal with this? Because we're seeing all these fractures, and this is just a handful of them. And just in recent days, everything from the Epstein files is pushed back within the Indiana state legislature over redistricting. The Republicans were pushing them to change the Senate filibuster rules. They've said no to that. He's called on Democrats to be jailed, as he did last night. A lot of Republicans are very uncomfortable with that. And then the news that's going to really dominate this week, this Russia-Ukraine peace plan that a lot of Republicans see as a total capitulation to Russia. And you're already hearing that from some of the more establishment Republicans. Sungman, you cover the White House. Is there a fear that this lame ducks. Dave's right. You're lame duck the moment you put your hand on the oath of. You take that oath of office on January 20th in your second term. Is there a fear that his grip is slipping in any way within the White House?
Within the White, I mean, I think you can look at the resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene on Friday night as a sign that it's not. I mean, she specifically pointed to a potentially very bruising primary after having lost President Trump's support, which shows just how strong that political power is within the Republican Party. Now, for the broader electorate, for the midterms in 2026, that's certainly a different question. You're seeing the White House not only talk a lot about messaging and talking about his accomplishments in a more fulsome way. President Trump certainly pointed to that as a potential political problem that you just need to kind of talk about his accomplishments.
Yes, let's get the likes up. There's about 100 people in the building. Please thumbs up the video. Thanks for being here. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Let's just more, but you do see how they're also slightly recalibrating their policies to address the big issue of the big issue right now, which is the affordability crisis and the cost of things. You saw them remove some tariffs from Brazilian goods this past week in an attempt to lower those costs, even though there wasn't a major fanfare when the president did that.
So things are doing, without trying to say, look like they're pivoting.
Exactly, because I mean, President Trump again, like fundamentally believes in tariffs. You're not going to bring him off that, but that to me showed me there is a need for some recalibration of these policies to make sure that the American consumers aren't being hurt.
Yeah, and there's always this point where the party.
Like the video, like the video. And they already said it's going to take time for you guys to see those prices drop from the grocery stores. Like the video, fair use, reaction clip.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're at that point yet. We saw that, presidents, as they head into midterms, as has happened with Barack Obama back in 2010, we saw that Tea Party wave happen, and one of his chief political analyst of CNN, but his former political advisor, David Axelrod, said this to the New York Times just a few days ago. He said, unless the economy and his numbers rebound, Republicans are going to feel less willing to follow him blindly. And that trend will accelerate once election filing periods pass in individual states and they are clear of potential primary challenges that he holds over their heads. And it's a good point, because there are big filing deadlines. Two have actually already passed, Illinois and Arkansas. There are a bunch coming up in Texas, Georgia, Pennsylvania, California, Kentucky, and North Carolina. But there's always that moment where Republicans down tickets start to want nothing to do with the president. The problem is that this president demands loyalty at all costs.
I mean, I think this is the challenge for Republicans, is the fact that they're trying to figure out what they're going to run on, right? The one big beautiful bill did not do well in terms of message testing. They tried to recalibrate. I think they just came off the longest shutdown in U.S. history. And now Republicans are saying, what are we to run on in 2026? And so that's why you're starting to see all this activity when it comes to potentially extending the Obamacare COVID subsidies and other things, because they are looking, at their future, saying this is going to be a really challenging time, especially if the economy doesn't do really well, especially if inflation, if tariffs continue to actually hurt people back home. They're really worried about their future, and we see that time and time again, and we're starting to see it on the Hill, right? You saw it this week when it comes to some of these appropriations bills. They're not doing spending levels that Donald Trump wants. They're doing much higher spending bills that are being led by Senate Republicans.
Trump just cheerleaded and said the economy is going great. Everyone listen to me. The economy is going great, and hope that voters believe him. He said that over Truth Social this week, and everything's going great in the economy. He said, my poll numbers are the best. Well, I mean, look at what the actual poll numbers say, the public poll numbers. Fox News poll just from this past week. This is on the economy. Look how much it has changed for him, approve versus disapprove. He's lost he's got 5 points in the wrong direction on disapproval when it comes to the economy. That's from March to November. 61% of the American public and registered voters in this poll disapprove. And then you break down among his approval rating among subgroups. White voters, especially white working class voters, that is his base. He is down 7 points in terms of approval from March until now. And black voters, which he did much better with in the last cycle, he's now at 12% approval in this poll. David, what is your takeaway from that?
Well, I think this was also reflected in the elections in New Jersey and Virginia, that we saw that some of the pieces of his coalition that proved so successfully put together for him just a year ago drifted away. You see Hispanics in that poll showing flat, but we saw them drift away in the elections. Independents had drifted away. So there are key pieces of his coalition that clearly have sort of reverted back to where they were before he put that together a year ago. I would just note, though, as you said, the piece about the economy, and can Donald Trump just say what isn't true for people's lived experience? I would argue that the administration itself broadly doesn't think he can, because we just heard J.D. Vance, his vice president this week, take a different message out in public than the president usually does. It wasn't, this isn't true, everything's fine. It was, we hear you, and it was a plea for patience that this will take some time. Convinced that the economy will get where it needs to go for the American people, but an acknowledgement from J.D. Vance that we don't usually hear from President Trump.
Is this why when Trump had this, what many people are calling a love fest with Trump and Mamdani at the White House, is this why, because of the acknowledgement implicit that it is that Trump realizes that he has to shift on this issue, or is it just because Mamdani was being very nice to him?
Well, it's also like Trump likes winners, and Mamdani is a winner. I'm not sure it's more complicated than that. It did seem like before the press press was brought in, they did have a very cordial meeting. I'm sure Mamdani, we were told that he had gotten some advice on how to handle these Oval Office meetings from his fellow New York counterparts who had been in these types of situations before. But I do think a lot of it is, Trump respects winners. He obviously had a resounding election in New York. And I think when the mayor-elect told the president that, 1 in 10 of my voters were your voters, I think that kind of helped bridge any sort of divide that they may have had.
Very quickly. Yeah, I mean, I just think this money's a message for Republicans. This is not the side by side they wanted. They wanted to tie Democrats to social Democrats and Mamdani and run on it all during 2026, and now you've got a bear hug by the president.
I think that comment by Lee Stefanik's criticism when he was asked about that, and that was a remarkable moment. I'll tamp that down. Oh boy.
This is the bariatric
like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There's about 98 people in the building. Please hit subscribe. Let's continue. Like the video as you guys come in.
Since the government shutdown, which ended a 7-week data delay. We now have top-line numbers from September. We may get partial figures from October at a later date. Either way, the new release reveals a continued slowdown in hiring. U.S. employers added 119,000 jobs to payrolls in September, which did exceed what economists had been forecasting. But once again, July and August numbers were revised downward by a total of 33,000 jobs. Overall, the unemployment rate rose to 4.4%, which is the highest in 4 years, although I like to always say the denominator there always changes, so I don't want you to take that without the context. When you look at unemployment for black women, however, 7.5%. That group has been hit hardest since President Trump's return to the White House. It's a bit of a story here. An estimated 300,000 black women lost their jobs between February and September, which is, as I said, the last month for which we have data, and that's more than any other demographic. Between eviscerating the federal workforce, which has double the share of black women working in it compared to the wider labor market, and Trump's war on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, his administration's policies are punishing them in particular. Meanwhile, let's talk about inflation. It's been making life less affordable for everyone. In 2022, inflation hit an annual rate of 9.1%, largely due to the COVID pandemic, but it's cooled significantly, and it had done so by the time Donald Trump returned to office. Then Trump raised tariffs on imports, which in effect are an added tax on American consumers. One of the key arguments he made for his expanded tariff regime is that it would bring jobs back to the United States, factory jobs that went overseas. It would renew America's status as a manufacturing powerhouse. That's the theory. In reality, so far, it's not bearing out. Joining me now, Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan and host of the Think Like an Economist podcast. I'm also here with my friend Caleb Silver, chief business editor at People Inc. Justin, welcome. It's great to see you in person. This is terrific to have you here. I was going to talk about the fact that we haven't gained manufacturing jobs, but I want to be intellectually honest here. Even if the long-term goal is to bring manufacturing jobs back to America through tariffs, it wasn't going to happen in a few months because companies have to say, I'm going to invest in America, I'm going to build a factory. That takes a long time. So I don't want to suggest that it's not working because our numbers, we've lost manufacturing jobs, but I am going to suggest it's still probably not likely to work.
Well, let's also start with it's not working. So you're absolutely right to say that 10 months later we haven't built a new factory. Also, the US manufacturing sector is in long run decline.
Yes.
So as it is coming into 2025, there was a certain number of factories that were going to shut down. If tariffs change the game, it's not that new ones would have been built. It's that there's a whole bunch that would have shut down would survive. So, in fact, we should have started to see a turnaround. Look, the interesting thing is if you look at the goods-producing sector, so I'm going to broaden from manufacturing, we'll add in construction, stuff, right? Stuff matters because stuff's where tariffs hit. The goods-producing sector, its employment level peaked on Liberation Day, right? And it's been falling at a fairly rapid rate since. So, yeah, the good news, if there was going to be some, hasn't come yet. Now, let me just add one more thing. I'm going on, but the one more thing is no one's going to build a factory based on a tariff that's on Monday, off on Tuesday. The president's changed his mind by Wednesday. He gets hormonal by Thursday, and someone says something nasty in the middle school cafeteria on Friday, and they're back on again. Yeah. That's not going to lead me to break ground.
Because you need to, Kelly, put millions, if not billions of dollars, and that's what he likes to do. He likes to have CEOs talking about the billions they're going to invest. But this is why Turkey and Venezuela and places like that, or Argentina, don't get consistent investment, because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, uncertainty is kryptonite. And kryptonite for investors, it's kryptonite for businesses, small and large. And what we're hearing from businesses, small and large, is they are not sure they're going to add more jobs going into next year. In fact, many of them are shedding jobs. Private payrolls are slowing month after month. We're at least getting that data from ADP every month, unlike the government data that we haven't been getting. We just got data that was from the summer, I believe, right? The September jobs report. So we're hearing that over and over, the growing drumbeat of layoffs from bigger companies, and also this small business optimism is trending lower as well. Their prospects for the future are not great as well. So you might see headline numbers like GDP, which says, hey, the economy grew at 3.8%, but really that is because of all this spending on building these data centers, right? Wealthy people doing some spending on travel, and then Justin's about to tell me why I shouldn't be so chicken little this close to Thanksgiving, because it might not be that bad, but it feels bad under the surface.
Actually, I want to add one more really important data point that I think people have missed, which is if you took total employment growth between January January of this year and September, and you compare that to January through September job growth in all past years, that's politically salient. The president came to power in January. It means we're not focusing too much on the latest numbers, so I think it's an intellectually honest exercise. This is the weakest January through September in the American labor market in the last 15 years, with one exception being the shutdown in 2020. Right. So things are different.
Yes, and the issue, Caleb, is that a pullback, a recession, it's not mathematical, it's not scientific. We only realize all the data sort of once we're well into it. But this is the thing. Our people are not confident in this administration's ability to shepherd the economy, which, by the way, was a real reason why Donald Trump won, right? He told people, I can handle this. I can bring prices down. I can bring those jobs back. People voted for him, and now they're realizing, maybe not.
Yeah, well, when we have inflation, which has just been bubbling around 3%, it was a few years ago, but you have slowing job growth, you have inflation, and then you have what we call stagflation, which is no fun to be. We may not have a recession, and we might not know we have a recession until you look backwards. But if we have this slowing growth, rising unemployment, and creeping higher prices, that's not a good place for the U.S. economy. People don't feel confident, so they don't spend. And as we know, spending is 70% of GDP. It matters right now around holiday shopping season more than ever, and Americans are still pretty good at it. We'll probably spend over $1 trillion this holiday season, but the sentiment of, I don't feel that great, means people may not hire, they may not make that discretionary spend. That could end up slowing the economy.
The reason, and look, there are lots of reasons why Donald Trump won the election, but one of them was this, his focus on prices and the economy. And what we saw a few weeks ago in the election is that the voter is still actually concerned with the focus on prices and the economy. They just don't believe he's going to be the shepherd of it, which is kind of why we saw that thing in the White House with Zoran Mamdani on Friday. Mamdani, nothing like Donald Trump, is focusing on the same things. There's success in telling people, I'm going to work with you to fix the economy, but you actually then have to follow through.
Right, so that's the big difference, which is somewhere a pollster told Trump to start using the word affordability.
Yes.
His genuine commitment to it. He started using the word, but never said how, never said what, never said a single policy didn't do. So we're pro-affordability, but we're going to raise tariffs on you. We're pro-affordability, but we're going to undermine the Fed, which is going to potentially cause inflation. We're pro-affordability, but what's the biggest expense for many families? Health insurance. We're going to rip the American health insurance system up. So a lot of talk, no action. And then you layer on top of that a fundamental dishonesty that I think is going to hem the president in. He came to power promising lower prices.
Yep.
That was irresponsible.
And he's saying that he's done it.
Right, so it was irresponsible at the time. You'd never want to put an economy in reverse and pull the prices down. The only way we do that is by slowing an economy. He shouldn't have said it at the time. He stuck by it, and now obviously prices are rising. They do that. That's how economies work. What we want to do is rise slowly enough we don't notice. Now what's he doing? He's looking you and I in the eye and he's saying, I brought prices down.
Right.
If you want your I feel your pain moment, lying to me about what I just saw at the grocery store, it's not going to work for us.
Yeah, you can lie to people about a lot of things that they can't feel. Unfortunately, price of eggs and price of gas are not those things. Hang on, I want to take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side with Justin.
Like the video, like the video. Thank you for the one gifted. I did see it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Let's continue with the news. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let's continue.
Take on the 49ers. What's up, Mimi?
Good morning, Envy. Good morning, Charlamagne. How y'all doing?
We'll see you.
Good.
No, I want to do something else because I can't have that music playing in the background. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in. I appreciate you all for being here. Let's continue.
Congress, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with the shocking announcement from Congresswoman Green. What went through your mind when you first heard she was going to resign on January 5th?
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week, and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back. But instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
Here's an excerpt from her resignation video. Take a listen.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
So she seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massey, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, you know, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, you know, it's interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, you know, I just got to say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
The House Oversight Committee, which you were a member of, said Friday night that your committee is expanding its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Do you have any idea what this expanded investigation might include?
I do not at this point in time. We are, well, I'll say leadership is keeping it under wraps to make sure that we can hopefully not have many more obstacles. If you'll remember, we decided that we were going to put out a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell, and the next thing you know, the president's henchman showed up to her cell, and the next thing you know, we didn't have our sit-down talk with her, which I imagine would have gone a little differently if we had. So we're keeping that tight-lipped for now.
The chairman of the Oversight Committee, James Comer of Kentucky, says that Democrats are just trying to use these files to smear the president. Just to be clear, do you or your colleagues have any idea about what's in these files, one way or the other, relating to Trump or not?
Absolutely not. I mean, here's the reality. If we did have that information, I don't know that we would need it necessarily to be released. And we know that the Republicans keep saying, you know, figure out what it is the Democrats have done and make sure that you can pull out the Democratic stuff and make sure you get rid of all the Republican names. Listen, I don't really care who is in the files. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you are truly about law and order, then we should be looking for who it is that has broken the law and in what ways. And we need to better understand who potentially in government allowed for a lot of these things to take place, whether we're talking about the fake immigration paperwork that we've heard from a lot of the survivors, whether we're talking about other foreign governments that have participated and who it was that allowed for that, whether we're talking about the sham organizations, the sham modeling agencies that were nothing but a front for trafficking. We need to know whether or not they still exist in some other iteration. This is about not only making sure that the survivors get justice, but making sure that there aren't others that are going through a similar system right now.
There was a back and forth this week after you accused former Republican Congressman, now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of accepting campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. It turned out it wasn't convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It was a Long Island neurosurgeon, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, different person. You corrected the record. However, now the neurosurgeon is telling the New York Post that he is threatening revenge against you. He's going to donate to your campaign, so you have to admit you accepted money from a Jeffrey Epstein, if not the Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to that?
Listen, if there's anybody else who's alive and decides that they want to donate just so that you'll be on my FEC report, I am here for it. I will take your donation, especially since Jeffrey Epstein is now deceased. I don't think that it will be confusing whatsoever that it was not him, unless he's come back from the dead. So we'll see.
So you are, we're told, weighing a decision on whether to jump into this Texas Senate race, challenging Republican Senator John Cornyn for his seat, although it's unclear that Cornyn will survive a Republican primary. You said you had a meeting this week with pollsters to discuss your chances. Did you have that meeting? And if so, how did it go? Are you still thinking about running?
I am still thinking about running. We did get our polling back. So we are moving on to the next phase to determine whether or not this is would make sense in the moment and if the infrastructure can be built out in the way that I see it being necessary to actually be able.
Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Thanks for tuning in, and also turn on the notification. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
To win, as well as we are continuing to look at the polling on the other side. Listen, they are in a civil war right now on the Republican side as it relates to who will become their nominee. You know, John Cornyn has served the state of Texas for decades at this point in time in some capacity. And right now, you know, I don't know if he's MAGA enough to make it through his primary, but we are evaluating all things and seeing what it would look like to put together a team. And we will make a final decision by Thanksgiving on whether or not we're going to ultimately move forward.
What did the polling information that you got back show? I mean, is it a calculation of whether or not you're going to be facing Cornyn, who might have more appeal to moderates in your state, centrists in your state, as opposed to a more MAGA candidate who potentially defeats Cornyn in the primary that you might, or any Democrat might, have a better chance against?
I'll tell you this, that head-to-head, we are doing really well against Paxton. I will say that. I will also tell you that we are actually within the margin of error as it relates to John Cornyn. So to be perfectly honest, the only reason that I'm continuing to consider whether or not I do this is because my polling says I can win. That is the bottom line. But at the end of the day, a poll is a poll. And so you need to actually be able to execute on that. So whether it's Cornyn or whether it's Paxton, we feel confident that we can get this done. The thing is, we obviously would prefer to have Paxton.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Okay, you guys, I've been live for 54 minutes. If you did not hit subscribe, please hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. I thank everyone for being here. I thank everyone that did hit subscribe. Today we talked hot topics, trending topics. We were live for about a good 54 minutes. That's good. But if you didn't hit subscribe, please hit subscribe. There's about 54 people in the building. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might have otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. Continue to hit the like button as you guys come in. I appreciate everyone. Happy Monday. Enjoy your week. Are you guys doing anything special for Thanksgiving? Are you staying at home? Are you traveling? If you are traveling, do you plan on getting a flight out? And if you have flown, has it been easier to fly in and out now that TSA and the government's back open? Let me know how it is in regards to travel. So in the comments, replay game, like the video, subscribe. I hope everyone have an amazing Monday. I have so much I have to do. So I just wanted to come in, and I didn't go live Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I do my shorts after 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So if you want to catch some of my shorts, go in, check out some of my shorts. We do hot topics, trending topics in the nighttime. Yes. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a great Monday. Goodbye. Be blessed.